let's dive right in. We're going to run a quick diagnostic on the health of your team. It's all inspired by the work of the legendary W. Edwards Deming. And you know what? It starts with just one simple observation.
Here's a little experiment for you to try. Over the next 5 meetings you lead, just listen. Keep a running tally in your head. How many times does a team member speak up and seriously challenge an idea, or maybe admit a potential mistake by saying something like, "Hang on a second, I think we might be wrong about this"? If you go through those 5 meetings and the number you come back with is 0, well, you've got a problem. And honestly, it's a much bigger problem than you probably think. See, a silent room isn't a sign of agreement. It's a symptom of something much, much deeper going on.
So what is that silence really telling you? It's really easy to misdiagnose what's happening here. You might think, oh, it's just a lack of confidence, or maybe my team just doesn't have any new ideas, but the root cause is almost always something else entirely.
Now, what's really fascinating is our first instinct is to blame individuals, right? We think, my team just isn't brave enough to speak up. But that's almost never the real issue. The problem isn't a lack of individual courage, it's the presence of systemic fear. And fear isn't a personality trait, it's a feature of the system that you, the manager, have actually created. Think about it. In a system that runs on fear, people aren't dumb, they're incredibly rational. They learn very, very quickly that the safest path forward is the quietest one. The best survival strategy becomes, don't rock the boat, don't challenge the way things are, and for goodness sake, don't be the one to stick your neck out. So the most logical thing to do is to just stay silent.
And this leads to this really fascinating and, frankly, dangerous phenomenon you see in so many companies. There isn't just one meeting happening. There are always 2. There's the one that happens in the conference room, and then there's the one that happens right after, out in the hallway.
This just illustrates the disconnect perfectly. Inside the official meeting, everyone's nodding along. You hear, yep, makes sense, we all agree. But the second that meeting ends, the real meeting starts. And out in the hallway, you hear, this is a terrible idea. There's no way this is going to work. As a manager, you're only hearing half the story, and it's the less important half.
So what's the ultimate cost here? Well, the cost of this silence is absolutely astronomical. All of the brilliant insights, the critical warnings, the game-changing solutions that your team has, they all stay locked away inside their heads. Your company's best ideas never even make it into the room.
Okay, so how do we fix this? For the answer, we need to turn to one of the true fathers of the modern quality movement, a man who understood this dynamic better than almost anyone.
W. Edwards Deming. This guy was a management genius who famously helped rebuild Japan after World War II. And right at the very heart of his entire philosophy was this single, powerful command for every manager: eradicate fear. He just knew, you cannot have a high-quality organization if people are afraid to tell the truth.
Deming famously said, "You cannot imagine what can be achieved when employees are freed from fear." And look, this isn't about group therapy or making everyone feel warm and fuzzy. This is a cold, hard, operational principle. The amount of fear in your organization is directly and inversely proportional to how well it actually works.
So how do we put this wisdom into practice? How do we actually do it? Well, it boils down to a single, actionable step you can take in your very next meeting. You don't need some huge new initiative or a company-wide policy. You just need one question.
In your very next meeting, I want you to find a moment to just pause. Look at your team and honestly ask this. What would you like to say today? But for some reason, you don't feel like you can.
But asking the question, that's only the first part. The second, and way more critical part, is to simply listen. Don't argue, don't justify your position, don't explain anything, just listen. Because your reaction in that moment will decide whether they ever speak up again. This is how you start to dismantle that system of fear, one honest conversation at a time. So, here's the final thought to leave you with. The genius you hired is already there. It's sitting in the room with you. Your team has the ideas that can solve your biggest problems and unlock your greatest opportunities. The only question left is, are you ready to finally create a space where those ideas can be heard